Everybody makes New Year's resolutions, but following through and finding something very unique to do is kind of difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Samantha Reynolds joining us. She is a poet, she's a blogger, she's a writer, and her website is bentlily.com, where she writes a poem a day. Hello, how are you?
I'm well.
So
nice
how did this whole thing get started?
So I got pregnant. And
so how did that happen? How did that happen? Okay.
So people told me what, you know, I think is sort of the ubiquitous advice, which is like you're going to have this kid, and that first year is going to be so fleeting, and really make sure you savor that year.
Yeah, write everything down, little funny things.
Right, and so I thought, okay, I'm on it. And, you know, I am a bit of a remedial meditator, but I thought, you know, I can do this present thing. And then, like, sure enough, a couple months in, it's true, it really does. The days are long, but sort of the months are short and the years are short, right? So I felt like it's true. This is really just sort of slipping by.
Yeah.
And so it was coming up on New Year's, and I thought, you know, when I'm at my most present is usually when I'm writing. So what if I wrote every day? And I thought, you know, a poem is this nice bracketed piece of writing. That
You'll have time to do that as a new mom.
Right. So I thought, I'll write a poem every day. But the interesting thing happened that it wasn't so much writing the poem as much as sort of seeing the world through the eyes of a poet, and just kind of savoring the details of the day. That it was really
do you have this at time that you do this? Do you have, like, because when people meditate, you know, they usually have their meditation spot and the little ritual. Is there a ritual to the poetry?
So it's all about doing it right before I fall asleep.
Really?
And there's something about, like, the imposed deadline.
Did it start that way, or that's just how it happened eventually?
It did start that way, and actually I thought I had time, you know, like January 14th, I think, to write at 2 p.m. and nothing came. Like, I have to be just dog tired.
Yeah.
And knowing, like, I mean, you're a new mom too, so you're so tired.
Yeah.
But knowing, like, I have to get this poem out, and so I've got about 10 minutes before I fall asleep at my desk, and that's the flow. Like, that's what comes easy.
Isn't that fascinating? Because I was trying to describe to someone about, you know, even from a guy's perspective, that sensation of having a child and a newborn in your life, it's like this blissful busyness. Like, it's almost numbing as it goes along, because the days just kind of fly by, but it almost works in opposition to mindfulness, because it is like being inside a cocoon. So it must be interesting to pop out of that for even that 10 minutes and go, this is the thing that sticks to me. Is it inspiration, like at that moment, that it just pops in, whatever you want to write about?
So this is exactly how it happens, is I have no idea when I sit down what I'm going to write about, but it's like I've sort of been saturated all day by, you know, just noticing these little things, and I sit down, and it's like a little squeeze and this poem falls out. That's kind of how it happens.
Just like childbirth.
My husband says
a little squeeze and a poem pops out.
Yeah, my husband says it's totally creepy, but.
So how long ago did this first poem come out?
Well, I started January 1st, 2011.
Amazing. And when did the book come out?
So I published the book. So I've been blogging, and I've developed this really loyal and lovely following.
Yeah.
And people kept emailing me and saying, you know, would you do a book? So I thought, I'll do this book.
Where did the blog come from? Because it's interesting that, you know, you're writing for yourself, and when you first publish it, it must feel like it's just kind of going out into the ether, right?
Yeah.
And it's for yourself.
Well, and then to have that feedback from people. But I was reading some of the comments and the commonalities and the way that you can verbalize other people's feelings. That's really a gift. It's an amazing thing. But on both sides of the equation, for people that don't have the time or the ability or the desire to write, to be able to have someone to interpret it that's kind of nice.
Yeah, well, and I keep telling people, like, give it a shot. Like, you know, I would never have described myself as a poet. I think I'd probably written, I don't know, 11 poems in my life.
Did you know a lot about poetry, structure,
nothing.
Like
I still know nothing. I still know nothing about.
That's the way to do stuff, because then it's natural. Okay, so
no, it's not the way to do stuff.
Sure.
I know nothing about fixing a car.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fix a car.
If you try something without knowing the rules, chances are you'll try something different, right?
Once again, I go back to the car metaphor.
I fixed my car before.
You know what? Way lower stakes with poetry.
But what I was going to say is, may we hear a poem?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to hear?
So I will read, I'll read The Hand Blender.
So this is just, it's not always about the experience of being a mother.
It's not always about the experience of being a mother, and this was not my most shining moment, being a mother.
Okay.
It's called the hand blender. It was the end of a long day, filled with minor irritants of a privileged life. The effort to puree yams does me in. The hand blender, a gift made in Switzerland, supposedly expensive, makes a sudden and shocking mess on the wall, in my hair, and is now high on my list of despicable things. I look at my husband, who is calm at the edge of my rage, and I understand that it is me who is loathsome. He holds my gaze for a moment, and then he loudly pronounces the blender to be an asshole. This is it, and it is enough. I lick yam off my shoulder and marvel at my luck, at my perfect life.
That is so sweet.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, the hand blender didn't make it, actually.
No, the hand blender didn't make it, but I was reading the comment for that particular poem, and your husband actually commented on that one as well, which is really nice as it goes along. Does it become a family thing? You know, I guess especially between you and your husband, but is there any thought as you go along to your son and him reading these some days and getting a feel for his world, his life, his parents from a different perspective?
Yeah, you know, a little bit. I actually don't think that much about it. Maybe something like what Fiona said, I don't think too much about it. It's actually remarkably less about the poetry and more about this sort of art of noticing my life. Like, that's what's been transformative, and that's what's been motivating me to keep going, is this experience of just waking up in the morning and trying to steep in the details of life, and a poem happens at the end of the day. But
are you going to stop doing it? Is there an expiration date to the daily poetry, or is it just going to keep on moving like a machine?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm about 600 poems in, and
no end in sight?
I might write one poem for the rest of my life, every day.
You never know.
You never know.
It's a cool idea. Well, it's inspirational, and if you go to the website, bentlily.com, you will be inspired, and perhaps, even though you don't know how to fix a car, think about writing a poem.
That could even be a little poem, Mike. See, you don't need to know a lot about poetry.
I thought it was beautiful.
Me too.
Keep talking, ladies.
We're going to take a break.